This is a semi-truck parking air conditioner. So mount it right here. There it is. We've snapped this O-ring. Well, that's not supposed to do that. So it was on eco all night. Woke up to 65 degrees. It's 100 degrees in the boat. It's been 40 minutes and it's 80 degrees in here. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I'm on the boat again. But this time I'm installing something a little bit different. This is a semi-truck parking air conditioner. This is only a 26-foot boat, so there's not a lot of places to put it. I bought it from Walmart.com because they had the best delivery and the best price. If you're going to buy one of these, you're looking at about $400. And on Amazon, they've got some for cheaper, but then they've got like $100 delivery fee, so it does come out to $400 or $500. This one was pretty close to $400. I'll put the link and I'll put the price here. But my plan was to put this thing up here. It barely fits up there, and this is the inside unit, and I'll show you where that goes in a bit. But pretty simple looking. In the advertisement or on Walmart.com, the size would have easily fit up there. This is bigger than what it said in the advertisement, so that's a thing. Also, if you look at the user manual, and this is the directions, you can see that this boxy unit does not look like that boxy unit, so that's a thing. Also, this is a 12-volt unit, and I'm going to run it off of 12 volts, but not off the batteries. I could. I think there's enough cabling, but I'm going to install this inverter. So I'm just going to run 110 to 12 volts and plug it into this. This is like 1,000 watt, I think, 800 or 1,000 watt inverter. So it's just going to run off of that, where the current AC is plugged into now, and I'll talk about that current AC and the problems. But this is everything it comes with, all laid out here. But what I do need to do, I'm going to have to drill a hole in my boat. So I got one of these pass-through boat thingies, and I'm going to put the hole right here, and you'll see. So I'll be able to screw that in down there. It'll be out of the way when I want to, undo this, but it'll give me some flexibility. I think I might leave this here, or I'll turn it. There's a long cables, and they don't have a long way to go, so I'll have extra cabling. But in the box with the indoor unit, you've got the expansion valve, this tape, some screws, and this bracket here that'll hold it on once you put them on there, on top of the expansion valve. Some mounting screws. I did grab some of my own that might be a little shorter, which I think I'm going to need. And then in the kit with this outdoor unit, you've got the hoses, and then you've got mounting hardware, which I'm not going to need because I think it's just going to sit here. I don't want it to sit flat because it's got milk crate basically behind there, so I don't want it to sit flat. So that's going to be just going to probably sit here and have a nice ride. But what you do need for this is gauges. So you're going to need AC gauges, and I've got a vacuum pump because you got to put a vacuum on it, and 2 cans of R134A, so standard stuff. Drill, a few other tools. So let me go inside, make sure this hole is going to work, and then also show you where this indoor unit is going to go. It comes with a drain. I think it's long enough, but we'll see. All right, sorry if it's dark and loud in here. I've got both ACs going because it's hot outside. It's like 85 degrees. And I'll talk about that more, like I said, at the end of the video. But let me show you where this is going to go. First thing, got to remove my security system. Oh, get out of there. Gonna have to relocate that. But right here, so here's the door. This is the back side of that, of what we saw out there. The seat, the cushion, So the plan is, with one hand, to mount it right here. I just need to measure and make sure the hole is in the right spot. So I'm going to do that real quick. So the wires are going to come in here, the hoses, and connect to it. I think it's got to connect on this side, but that's cool. It gives me room. I should have plenty of space here. There's a board behind here, so I think I can mount it really well to this board. So I can take the board down, make sure my hole's drilled in it, make sure the vinyl is cut nicely, and then put it back up, and I think we'll be good to go. So it's going to go here, blow into the cabin. I think that's going to be great. Well, the directions are one page. It says install the external unit, put the expansion valve on, install the inner unit, install the lines, plug it in, connect the drain pipe, vacuum it and add refrigerant, connect the power, turn it on and enjoy. So what I didn't show you is the drain line. So the drain line is simply gonna run down from it across my countertop and into the sink. So I'm just gonna let it drain into the sink. But I'm gonna have to, I'll put the expansion valve on real quick. I brought the tools to do that. And I think this is gonna get installed after, since I need to make sure I have room for the hole. So I'll cut the hole and run the lines in, and then I'll install this unit. Well, for all these O-rings, for these O-rings and the lines, it says to add oil. I don't have oil, but I do have non-stick cooking spray. So that will be my O-ring lube. So one side only has 2 holes, the other side has 3, and on the side with 3 holes, one hole is going to be an extra hole for the smaller screw, the smaller machine hex screw for the lines and the retainer. And then these other 2 longer screws, you'll see on this side it's almost flat with a chamfer. This side, the head of the screws actually fit inside of the block. So that is going to be, when the screws fall in and they're flush, this side, they will not be flush. So when they fall in and they're flush, actually countersunk basically, that is the way it's going to go. And the high and low pressure side, one's bigger than the other, so it'll only go one way. So that cooking oil did its job. The smaller one is 3/16. The larger ones are 5/32, because of the way that it is. Click. All right, this side's ready. Now I gotta go outside, got a hole in my boat. so far. It's in. The vacuum pump is pulling a vacuum. I'm about to clean up here. Go take a shower while the vacuum pump is pulling vacuum, and then that'll probably be about all I do. Fire it up. Maybe I'll turn off the heaters and see what temperature it gets in here. But yeah, this is a 1,000-watt converter. So AC to 12-volt DC converter, 1,000 watts, which is more than enough. This is like 600, so more than enough to handle this. It's wired up very simply. I think I'm gonna keep it right here. I did lose some space, so all this stuff, I don't know, I gotta figure out where this goes now. But yeah, I gotta clean some tools up. Really just ready to start, and then this weekend I can get this out of here, hopefully, and be done with actually have this space, because if this does what this does and the boat, then this is going to be awesome. So let me clean up, and then I'll show you how we fill this. I actually am not going to use the gauges. I've got one of those, so from a previous fill job, like the ones with the hose you get with the gauge built in. I'm going to put that on these, and I'm going to use that. Well, I haven't showered. Obviously things look like they've escalated. I pulled a vacuum as I cleaned up, turned it off to let it sit, and immediately the vacuum went down. And if you don't already see what I did, I pulled this off, and there it is. We've snapped this O-ring. So yeah, good times. As I was tightening it, I heard it make a pop, and I didn't like it. I thought I stripped out the bolt, but clearly I just broke my O-ring. So make sure there's not a piece in there. Run to the auto parts store and get a new O-ring. It'd be nice if it came with an extra one, but it doesn't. Well, now you can see we're at -30 on the low side and somewhere in the negatives on the high side. So quickly replace that that valve there, or that O-ring on the valve, and it's good. What I would not recommend is, oh, the spiders are out. Look at that. Somebody else who did one of these, he literally closed these valves and then looked at this. Don't do that. If you close that valve, you've turned off access to this line. So you're not gonna, so leave this open, close these two, and then you'll get a reading. So that's it. Like I said, I've got AC over there, and I'm gonna use this. I'll show you that, so you can refill it without, you know, worried about that. So now that I'm already cleaned up, I am gonna go take my shower, and when I come back, if it's still at -30, then we'll be good to go. Well, we're holding pressure real good. Still hasn't budged from basically -30, and you know, whatever the high does when it does it. So I'm gonna go ahead and close these off, open them all the way, which basically just backs off the Schrader valve, and pop them off. Well, that's not supposed to do that. Man, come on, man. All right, let me see why it's doing this. I've got the Schrader valve tool here. Took it out, checked it, best I can tell. After it basically stopped leaking and sucking, it just has a, it probably, -30 is since it stops air from coming out, not coming in, -30 is just beyond the capacity. So I've hooked this one up, and gonna inject some in there. I'm gonna empty this bottle until we're ready. I'm gonna go ahead and put the high side cap on. These caps will not stop it from leaking, but they're nice to put on. I'm gonna have bugs in my cabin tonight. All right, well, I think it's ready to turn on. So this plug over here says range on the, because this used to run the range, but if I put an electric skillet or something here, the gas on the other's just stuck. So I went with this one. So let me put this here. Oh, power's on. So let me go ahead and power it up and then shoot some more juice in there. we only got Celsius. Leaf, strongman, finger, fan, leaf, strong, I don't know. Let me go ahead and give it some more juice. I'm supposed to take 2 of these. I hear the compressor kick on. It's done, it's in. I would set aside 3 to 4 hours to install it. It isn't any more loud than that one down there. It's currently 67 in here. I've had both of these other 2 running. What the trick will be is, so that one over there, I didn't install that one. I installed another one that looks a lot like that one, smaller. I think that one was, the other one was like 7,000 BTUs. That one's, I think, 10. So that's a much more powerful unit. The one on the boat is about 6,000. So this is 11. But those 2 together were having a hard time. Well, you needed those 2 together. But on the hottest part of the day, it was still kind of struggling. I would say that that one alone could not, even at night, when it wasn't, when it was in the 70s outside, that one could not keep up. That one, the temperature would raise into the 70s. During the day, I've left that one on, and that one could not keep up. Today, it was not humid, and it was overcast, and it was still 80 degrees when I came back. The problem is, and if you go back and watch the video, that it's like a 6-inch, 6 or 8, I think it's an 8-inch, maybe an 8-inch exhaust hose that goes down to a 6-inch hose through that access panel there. And then the flapper, and then there's about a foot of 6-inch hose that goes out the vent on the side of the boat. So one of the things is that restricted airflow will cause the compressor to get warm, and it'll power cycle. So that's what it was doing, is power cycling, and that was the problem. The other problem is it creates a negative pressure in here, and that's the biggest thing, I think. It just couldn't get enough air. It had to pull in hot air from somewhere. So it was pulling in air, or fresh air. It's pulling in air. It had to have an air supply, a huge air supply that would cool, spit some out, but also spit some out of the boat. So it was coming from the bilge. It was coming from other areas. I have a little fan in the head that blows air out because of the design of this boat. There is an air gap that comes into the bilge over the fuel tank, and you get some very light, some annoying but light fuel vapors in here, and they won't be in the engine compartment. So the sink, underneath the sink, with the door open, it pulls the fumes out through the bathroom, through the head, and you don't smell them. The problem is with that air conditioner, it counteracts the what's going on in the head with the fan, and it pulls all that air in here, and then still creates a negative pressure. One of the portholes needs to be open because it pulls from the porthole, so it's also pulling hot air and struggling to keep this thing cool. So I've already dropped this to 66. I might move this thermometer because it is blowing kind of towards the thermometer, so I don't want to trick it. But the fact that it's dropped the temperature by itself is pretty amazing. And I'm sure over this I'll have some B-roll. I think in the morning I'll look. It's not necessarily that loud outside. You can't even hear the outdoor unit over the indoor unit, so that's good. I'll get some audio of that unit in the morning. But it's got some simple buttons: the power button, the mode button. So it's got fan, manual, eco, and high cooling. So I think I'm trying it on manual right now. And then the fan button, it has so it's F1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's the highest fan speed. And I go back down to 4, and it's kicking out a lot of cold air. So I think I'm going to be chilly tonight. I'll update you in the morning as I exit. So that's the fan speed. So you can there's buttons on the left side of the screen, and then there's buttons on the remote here for fan, and then the arrows up and down and the buttons on the right side are for the temperature, and the temperature is in Celsius, so I'll have to do the conversion. It goes from 3 degrees Celsius, 3P, and you can go all the way to 30 degrees Celsius. So 30P is what it says on there, but that's Celsius. So as far as I know, there's no way to change this to Fahrenheit, but whatever. And I think that's the simple part. It's pretty funny. The max. So for the manual mode, it's a little hand with the finger. Eco is a leaf, as we would expect, and then max is like the torso of a guy with muscles, or a girl. Could be a girl, or someone. But like I said, I'm running it off of the 1,000-watt inverter. That inverter is not even getting hot. The fan is kind of quiet, so hopefully the green light doesn't annoy me. The other thing is there's a light button on here. If you push the light button, then it turns off the red light LED display. So far so good. In a few days, it's going to be, so on Friday, it's going to be like 92 degrees during the day and sunny. So I don't know if I'll leave it on during the day and see what temperatures I come back to, or if I lower the temperature, or let it get hot in here and then see how quickly it can drop the temperature once I get back and home from work, home to the boat from work. So yeah, so far no condensation, but the condensation line is just running to my sink, so pretty handy that it's long enough to run to my sink. Like, it's cold. I aim those nozzles away from me because it's cold over here. So yeah, this is pretty cool. Luckily there's no other boats near me. I think even if they were there, if they were next to me, they wouldn't be able to hear this thing. But we'll hear it again in the morning, and we'll see how quiet it is. I'll give you an update on the temperature. It's already dropped again to 65. Let me move it over here and see if it's not necessarily blowing on it either. So the fact that it's already dropped it to 65 in here is amazing. Like I said, that one over there would not drop it. I think the AC on the boat works okay, but so there's two things with the boat AC, or three, or I don't know, a lot, some things. First, I just don't like having a seacock open. Every open seacock is an opportunity for water to come in and something to happen to the boat. So I don't like that, but it's been fine. You've got to winterize, and before I bought the boat, I think they replaced the pump for the air conditioner because it went out because it probably wasn't winterized, just like the water pump in this boat. And then it pulls that water through the boat, so there's lots of intrusion points for the water. It builds up a lot of condensation on the vent over here at the galley. The sump pump, it's got a plastic sump underneath the bed, basically here, and in the bilge, and the water comes from the pan of the AC and goes into that bilge. The problem is it's not an automatic float, and the wires aren't hooked to anything. So there's lights, LED lights over there by the stairs, and LED lights over here. I disconnected this light, wired it to the pump, and then every 3 or 4 hours I'll just go over, especially when it's hot, I'll hit the button and you'll hear it get really loud and pump the water. You can't hear it pump the water out, but it'll pump the water out. And then when it's high and you can hear it's gone. The other thing, and maybe I'll be able to show you at some point, just it's getting late tonight, but under the bed here, under the dinette, couch, whatever, is the AC unit itself. I think the fan is a little underpowered, but it's not too bad. But the pan, the drain is like a ½ an inch above the bottom of the pan, and it's rusty as heck. So if I can get video of that, I'll B-roll, but I just want to suck that water out with the wet dry vac and wet vac and just leave it dry, because I think water sits in there and it's just I don't like it. It annoys me. So those are the things that I don't like about the boat air conditioner, and it's very weak. When I first got here, and it was in September, and it wasn't even that hot, the boat AC barely kept up. I had to take this little fan here and put it in front of that vent, and still it was you know, in the mid 70s at night. It would barely get down to 70 at night, but not now. But yeah, now again, and this bottom number, so it's 78 degrees outside. Hard to see sometimes. 85 in the engine compartment, 83 in the head, and 65 here in the right here. This box is 65 degrees. So uh-oh, there it goes. So yeah, that thing is cooling it off in here, and I'll update you in the morning, and then we'll update again in a few days when I come back to the boat and see how it's sustained, if I'm going to leave it on, or see how quickly it dropped, because I prefer just to leave it off and not run power and then drop it. And in the future, if I want, the power cord is not necessarily super long, but I could potentially get it back into the engine compartment and get another battery and see how long it would run off the batteries. But this 12 volt 100 amp converter seems to be okay. So I'll see if the green light on the side and the red light in the front annoys me when I sleep. But that'll be another report for you tomorrow, and we'll continue to see how well this cools the boat. But right now it's doing better than these other two combined, and I'm pretty happy with it. And at the end of this, if I don't like it, or if I sell the boat, and obviously it's sitting on the seat out there, there's nowhere to put it that's really convenient, I'll evacuate the lines and I'll find somewhere to put it in the RV, because it works, I think, vertically, like on the back of a truck, or horizontally. So it seems like it works either way. I've got it kind of in the middle, but it doesn't really matter which way you put it. So yeah, we'll see you guys, and we'll check back in the morning. So it was on eco all night. Woke up to 65 degrees. So, and it was quiet. So I'll go outside and see how it sounds outside. It's not too loud as it cycles on and off. Let's take a step off the boat. It's actually very quiet from here, so. Real quiet. Not bad. I'm gonna give this AC a test. The current temperature is 93 degrees in the boat. I just got back from work. If you can read that, don't mind the 132. That one outdoor thermometer is in the window. So I'm gonna fire this thing up, put it on Hercules, because it's this little guy, and then see if we can't cool it down. So the time on deck is 350. I'm gonna turn it on, crank it up, see how quickly we can drop down to close to 70 degrees. Well, it's been exactly 15 minutes. It is 16:05 or 4:05 p.m. and it's 83 degrees in here, so it's dropped 10 degrees in 15 minutes. For reference, running the boat air conditioner and that air conditioner, I dropped about 5 degrees every hour, and it's dropped 10 degrees in 15 minutes. So, game changer already. It did kick a code, like a B2 or something like that, a few minutes in. I don't know what that was about. Turn it off, turn it back on. It ran for a second or two, did it again, and I just power cycled it at the breaker, and it's fine. So I don't know what the heck the code is, but and one of the complaints is that there's no diagnostic information. I looked at the manual, I'll look again, but from what they say, there's no diagnostic information on what the codes actually mean. So you just have to go with it. Maybe there's something online, but power cycling it seems to have fixed it, and it's running good now. Generating quite a bit of water, but you know, it's running right into the sink here. So so far so good. It's got 15 more degrees. We'll see if in a half an hour it's down to 70 degrees. That'd be amazing. I did crank it down to as low as it'll go, but I think it's like 15 or 16 is like 70 something degrees, just below 70 degrees. So something like that, maybe a little higher, whatever. It's in Celsius, so doing well. Check back in here in a minute. Exactly 1 hour later, 72 degrees in here. The head is still 96, the engine compartment is 92, and up in the window it says 112, but it's just like 85 still, 85 or 86 degrees outside. So I'm going to drop it to eco mode and bring the temperature up to closer to like 68 degrees, and then take a nap. Because I got off work early today. Well, I had an appointment, so by the time I made it back, it would have been too late. So far so good. This is a game changer, like I said before. If I wish I had somewhere to actually mount the thing. So if you had a bigger boat and you could actually put this on the side, like next to a door or window or something, behind a ladder, you know, going up, and then just put this right inside the wall. It's awesome. And you can just use one of these inverters. You can run it off batteries. If I had more money from YouTube, I would buy a battery bank and see how long this lasted, but that's for another life. For now, I'll keep testing this and come back with a couple updates, yeah, see how great this thing is. Especially, like I said, in 3 or 4 days it's going to be 96 degrees outside, so we'll definitely see how well this does. Well, this is the last test of this air conditioner. Don't know if you can read this here, but it's 100 degrees in the boat, 102 in the head right now. It says it's 98 outside. The temperature says it's 94. I believe it was 96 degrees today. It is cooling off just a little bit. The as you can see, you know, there's some storms moving in. So for about the last hour, it's been overcast. So I haven't turned this on yet. I just came in. Probably should turn on the converter. So what I did find yesterday, I think I mentioned something about people saying that this doesn't have a good explanation of the codes. Here in the book, it does have a page, 2 pages for the codes. So I was getting a B2, so Bravo, the letter B, 2, and that says under voltage. And what I found out was, if I put it on the Strongman, on the Hercules, it apparently pulls too much voltage, and it'll shut down. You restart it, it runs for a few seconds and shut down. So I just swapped it over to manual. I've got it on 4, so 4 out of 5 for the fan right now, and it's turned on. So I think I can even turn it up to 5, and it won't pull. Apparently it pulls less voltage, less amperage than when you have it on max. So yeah, again, 100 degrees. It's 4:53 right now, 16:53. We'll see how quickly it cools this place down. It's been doing pretty well recently. Yesterday it was like 94, 92 or 94 in here, and again it was in an hour it was close to 70 degrees. So we'll see what we got. Final report. It's been 40 minutes and it's 80 degrees in here. So this thing is kicking pretty quick, getting it down to temp. Really pleased with this. Again, it's been a full week. So it's Friday afternoon. I installed this on Monday afternoon when I got off work. I've woke every morning to no warmer than 67 degrees. Neither of these other ACs are on at all. I haven't turned them on since. This one's even unplugged. So that's great. It's still 100 degrees in the head, but 80 degrees out here and getting cooler. Temp is dropping every minute. So the first 10 degrees was in the first 10 minutes. So that's great. But yeah, this is only 400 bucks. Not too hard to install. You don't need a whole lot of tools depending on where you're installing it. It's working great. So thanks guys for watching. Thanks for sticking around this long. Like and subscribe, do the free things, and I'll catch you on the next one.